Hey, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? I'm Duffy Duck here once again, and I'm back for the Maxi Toys, and welcome back to my Let's Play of Sonic the Hedgehog 2 for the Sega Mega Drive / Sega Genesis, at least in North America. So anyways, last time that we actually did manage to tackle through the first ever zone in Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and that was the form of Emerald Hill Zone. In addition to that though, I managed to actually collect all 7 of those chaos symbols in that one particular zone. And today for this episode, we're about to continue on and moving on into the second zone in this game, known as Chemical Plant Zone. If you remember this level before, we actually managed to tackle through Sonic Generations. If you played Sonic Generations before, specifically on the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, and PC version, this is the level that usually makes a return in Sonic Generations. So it's pretty cool though to actually just to play for this stage again, but in a 2D perspective. So yeah, it's pretty cool though. So yeah, after when you realized about something is that if you completely saw in the first episode of this Let's Play is that we actually managed to get ourselves Super Sonic this time. So even then though, what Super Sonic can do is that in order to actually transform into him, you must able to collect 50 or more rings until you actually manage to realize is that, oh, this is the only time that it only happens on most Sonic games is that, specifically in the original version of Sonic the Hedgehog 2 on the Mega Drive version, or the Genesis version if you will, that if you jump in mid-air, it'll automatically transform you into Supersonic formation. So yeah, that's how it usually goes though when it comes to this Supersonic ability, when it comes to trying to actually have that form within the, you know, this particular game itself. So even though until when it gets the HD re-release version, until when, you know, 2013 re-release version, it gets like you do have to deal with the supersonic transformation when you try to tap the jump button twice. So like one time that it doesn't usually activate, unlike the original version, but in order to actually activate it with the remake version, you have to actually just tap the jump button twice. So it makes it more like a better situation for compared to how it does it for, although before we actually get into Sonic 3 and Knuckles though, it does like the exact same thing to one another. But anyway though, so let's go ahead and yeah, every time when you jump, if you actually bypass 50 rings in that ring count, you'll instantly transform into Supersonic immediately. So yeah, let's talk about this Supersonic actually for this Sonic the Hedgehog 2 edition. This is the after when you transform into him, is that you can actually run super fast, and even you can actually jump higher as well. So it might be pretty tricky for him though, especially when we get into these segments where you're gonna have to go for these little really tight narrow platforms that you have to deal with in this level's case. But even then, we'll get to that in a second. So for now though, let's go ahead and just, you know, outright run for this level. So even then though, we can actually just, you know, grab the checkpoint here. So however though, when it comes to using Supersonic though, you'll actually drain your rings a bit into one. So if you actually run out of rings, like go to 0 rings for instance, you transform back into your normal self. So yeah, right now I'm actually getting 10 of these 1-ups, which is, again, just like in Sonic 1, that is really easy to get extra lives, even if it's especially noticeable on ring counts, including the score-based system as well, which if you actually reach up to more likely, I'm guessing 5,000 points or somewhat, then you can actually get yourselves an extra life from it, which I'm pretty sure that's what I was going to be saying there. Oh yeah, this is the part I was talking about. Even though when you're still about to be using Supersonic on this particular sequence like this, you'll instantly realize is that how the fact that you might instantly slip off from that really tiny portion of the platform, and you ended up falling into the water. So speaking of the water do make a return in Sonic the Hedgehog 2, just like in Sonic 1. Well, I'll get to that in a moment temporarily later. But for now, here's the second Dr. Robotnik fight. He's basically actually pouring himself the this liquidizer until we actually manage to start to use the liquidizer to actually port the projectile at me. So even then though, as soon as he actually fills up the liquidizer jar, that way it'll actually just try to port the projectile at me. So I'm gonna have to dodge for that. And also another thing you need to dodge is these little flipped platforms. So assuming in the top part of the you know, the top part of the platform, that when it's like yellow striped arrow, for in this case, no, not arrows, I always said that as soon as I get to the this stage right here. So anyway though, so let's go ahead and talk about that, the boss fight that I managed to tackle through from, you know, chemical plant. Is that you're gonna have to mine down for that little, twisty platform right there, and then if you actually just manage to fell through it, sometimes you instantly fall off and die, so you just have to be very careful on that. But it's pathetically easy though, just like if you actually manage to realize that you can actually bounce onto him like 8 times, even especially if you actually have yourself supersonic form automatic. So here we are to the 3rd zone in Sonic the Hedgehog 2, which was the form of Aquatic Ruin Zone. And this is the only Sonic the Hedgehog 2 level to feature water, although technically Chemical Plant also has a bit of water. However, unlike how it does in Sonic the Hedgehog 1's Labyrinth Zone, they're gonna have to usually mostly go through the water sections all the time. This time, however, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, you don't have to explore these underwater sequences this time. Probably due to the fact that how a lot of players seem to think that they really despise Labyrinth Zone so much. So that's why they decided to actually put less involved with water levels in Sonic 2 this time, because the majority of the game you'll be mostly spending time above from it. But even then, I found that's a little bit of a major, much more improvement over the likes of the Labyrinth Zone. Although, there was another water level we'll get into the next Sonic game in the lineup, which was Sonic CD, which is usually the same thing as the Labyrinth Zone does, but I don't think that level, where we'll get to that in a moment, well, assuming if somebody else can do that, so anyway though. And just like the likes of Sonic 1, that if you stay on the underwater for too long, you get yourself a time limit. So when it gets like a drowning theme, you're gonna have to quickly grab your air bubble until you actually don't drain, or don't drown, I should say. So yeah, you know these are very familiar flipped the spring, so that way you can actually just try to time your jump or what have you to actually just get yourself bounced high enough. So anyway though, so there's also these Eggman signs every once in a while. You're gonna have to dodge those until you actually realize is that after you go bypass them, then it'll try to shoot out those arrows. So these arrows will actually hurt you. So here we have the 3rd Dr. Eggman fight, and basically, or Dr. Robotnik fight, I should say. I should probably just for the time being, we're gonna have to call it Dr. Robotnik, if you will. So anyway though. So yeah, in this particular boss battle is that you're gonna have to like go all the way up to the top in order to hit him. So basically this how it goes is that every time when Dr. Robotnik uses his hammer, then all he does is that he'll try to smack on top of these little you know, Titan poles, is that every time he smacks one of these little heads, that way he'll actually shoot these arrows into one side to another, because he actually did manage to summon those little Titans, as you probably already tell, all these little bird-looking ancient statues and what have you, and that way he'll actually shoot these arrows one side or another. So yeah, you can also stand onto these arrows as well, assuming they're actually stuck onto these between these 2 walls. So that way you can actually jump onto them, and you can actually just manage to have some time to actually attack Robotnik that way. So yeah, I found that boss really interesting. And here we are to the 4th and probably one of my favorite zones in Sonic the Hedgehog 2, known as Casino Night Zone. If you remember this level already, then when this is with the, there's one thing I haven't mentioned is that, in the, during the Aquatic Ruin Zone, is that you can actually, explore a lot of alternate pathways you can take through during an, Aquatic Ruin Zone, which I found is really impressive at the time. But even then though, it'll actually start to, this was, that zone was before when, Sonic the Hedgehog 4 Episode 2, came around, whenever they started to change name into Sylvania Castle, which is more likely the exactly similar zone as it does for Aquatic Ruin Zone, but even then though, except the fact that it was entirely HD on Episode 2 of Sonic 4. But this was the Casino Night Zone that we're about to be exploring right now. This was before when Sonic the Hedgehog 4 Episode 1 came around, which usually calls it Sonic... Oh no, not Sonic. Casino Street Zone. So even then, it feels kind of similar to that, but except that, you know, color palettes might be slightly altered or different. So anyway though, so this is the reason why I really love Casino Night Zone, is that it's all about gambling first on this zone. So, and also this is another level to make a return in Sonic Generations for the console version, including the handheld version, the 3DS version. So however, the biggest difference between the handheld version of Casino Night Zone and the likes of the console version of Casino Night Zone is that Casino Night Zone in a console version for the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, and PC Steam version, that's usually a DLC. However, though, that it's still only a pre-order from 360 and PS3 versions of the game. I don't know why they can't be bothered to actually, you know, put them on the separate, you know, DLC item from this little separate stuff in the Xbox Live Arcade store, and even especially the PlayStation Network store and stuff like that, which I kind of wish it does, which I was gonna briefly try to showcase you there on during Sonic Generations Let's Play. Oh, I was off by 100 points off by getting the next continue. Oh, at the moment for the time, I only got about 3 continues so far. Well, there's no point for me to gain those latest continues for now, because I'm pretty sure that, in addition to that though, I actually got ourselves, 12 1-ups, even for, 12 extra lives, so, yeah, so, there's nothing I need to worry about this at this point in time, so, anyway though. And yeah, another thing I really loved about this level is the music is so really more likely, almost match up to the Las Vegas syndrome, which is pretty much what makes this so what makes this level so inspired. Oh no, my rings have been taken. But yeah, and also that you can actually interact with some different things and what have you, like the slot machines that you're gonna have to win some certain prizes every time when you enter these little slot machines. Like, if you get like 3 in a row of these little icons, they'll actually represent the awards. Right now, at the moment, I got Dr. Robotnik like twice, which if you get 3 Robotniks, you'll lose rings. And there are some other icons, like some rings, bars, Sonic, Tails, and even the rarest ones is the jackpot icons. If you hit like a jackpot icon like 3 in a row, that way you can get a ton of rings. And even then though, you can actually get a lot of lives in this level though, for example. If you kept on playing the slot machine game onto this little pinball table, which usually becomes apparent until we get to Sonic Heroes for the likes of Casino Park Zone, that it kind of does the exact same thing, but except in 3D. But even then though, that I seem to really enjoy that. But anyway though, so another thing is worth mentioning though is that usually in the Sonic Generations for the Nintendo 3DS actually has Casino Night Zone, but in a level formation. So, and also that judging by the fact that how in during the console version of the game on Sonic Generations, most likely for PS3 and Xbox 360, granted it was still pre-order, which is might be expired for now, because obviously that it might actually I don't know when did that discontinue from, but I might as well have to look that up eventually. So anyway though. Well, luckily for PC owners, they do manage to seem to realize they might as well get Casino Night Zone already from the PC Steam store, which is quite lucky for those types of stuff. So, anyway though, so... And usually speaking as such though, for Sonic Generations version of the Casino Night Zone for the 360 PS3 version, it's basically more likely a pinball arcade game syndrome. So basically it's more likely to rank up some scores or what have you. So yeah, that's all there is to know. Okay, Dr. Robotnik number 4 is that he can actually use his claw machine, so that every time when you grab by the claw machine from Dr. Robotnik, sometimes you actually ended up some little traps and what have you. So even then though, that the most obvious trap out of all is the spikes. And then if you get hit by these spikes, then you'll lose some rings. So yeah, that's all there is to know. And also another thing you need to avoid is these little red bombs, which he'll occasionally drop, and then they actually spew out some projectiles, just like how it does in Sonic 1's Starlight Zone boss. But even then though, except you don't deal with the seesaws and stuff like that. So, and then you can actually wander around in during the pinball machine or pinball table, and that's all there is to know though with that Casino Night Zone's boss. So yeah, pretty interesting and pretty fun concept altogether. So here we are to the 5th zone of Sonic 2. Right now we're at Hilltop Zone, which some people usually think this is probably the most bland looking zone in the entire game, but it's more likely Emerald Hill Zone, and plus it was quite mountain heavy, more likely, because you see the actual background of this level is more likely we're actually going on the mountainscapes, or even the outskirts of the mountain, which is pretty menacing by the looks of it. Well, not so much menacing though, but pretty cool to actually look at. but also that this what makes this this zone so similar to Emerald Hill Zone is that the color palette is actually a little bit slightly similar, or even these little textures or what have you. But except that in the Emerald Hill Zone, it does have some orangey looking color palettes with these little tiles and even some textures and stuff. And then in the Hilltop Zone, that is usually all in blue. So that's the only major difference between the Emerald Hill and Hilltop Zone. So yeah, that's all I must confess. So anyways though, so I'm pretty sure we're pretty much halfway done with Sonic the Hedgehog 2 already, because right now we're actually at the 5th zone, and because of that though, I don't have to deal with the, you know, the special stages anymore, because obviously we actually collect all 7 of those. So now, unlike how it does it in Sonic 3D Flicky's Island, aka Sonic 3D Blast, that you can actually do like multitude of special stages and stuff like that. But even then though, this game, now you can only have like 7 of those 7 of these special stages as far as that's the results. So, taking a note from Starlight Zone from Sonic 1 is that you can actually just about to use those little seesaws so that you can actually access to these next parts of the level. So, except the fact that you don't actually have to deal with these little random spiky ball objects. So instead it was just basically just the, you know, the flashable little mysterious ball thing, and that way you can actually bounce higher for these little seesaws. So that's the only major differences here and there. So anyway though, honestly I don't really mind Hilltop Zone, because usually speaking of such though, although it might be pretty boring at first, but then as soon as I actually play this level from time to time, I actually really enjoy this song pretty much, because even then though, I found out the music is really cool to listen to, even for this song just to be like that. So anywho though, so a few things I want to briefly mention about something is that no matter what though, that I managed to actually realize about something is that I was pretty much expecting it. I was really hoping if that Sonic Media were hoping to get the release date eventually, even the final release date so far. But I do not know when it's gonna come out though yet. But even then though, I'll have to find this out until later on. But even then though, still really excited for Sonic Media to come out until you know, during that sometime in the middle part of 2017 so far. So with that being said though, that's you know. Okay, these are these little spring traps, even though you can actually bounce back and forth between these 2 springs, so that's how it usually goes though, hey? And we'll go immediately transform to Super Sonic again, and we instantly fall down over to this little lava pit right there. But even then though, that Super Sonic is so pretty much invincible for the entire point, although the only time you get killed with Super Sonic is getting crushed and even fall down to the bottomless pit or something. Expecting that, you know, the time limit that you have to deal with right here, so. But again though, how come I did not hit him with Super Sonic? So anyways, this is by far the easiest Dr. Robotnik fight in this game so far, expecting with Super Sonic included. That, basically he actually uses his, fire extinguisher, or even a fire, breathing attack for, his contraption, and then that way you can actually, jump onto his head, like, you know, 8 times or what have you, and that's about it. Pretty easy though, I have to say though. Mystic Cave Zone, Act 1, and basically we actually ended up inside the cavern, which is pretty interesting. However, if you haven't played, the 2013 re-release version of Sonic the Hedgehog 2, you actually have yourselves a additional new level that has been introduced in Sonic 2. Originally it was going to be revealed in the final version of Sonic 2, but it's been completely scrapped and is usually on the beta information, so, which is a zone called Hidden Palace Zone, which I'll do that in the next part, but not until when we actually finish this zone just yet, because even then I'll show it to you guys until when that comes until the next video. So yeah, or even in this case the next part of Sonic 2 has to offer. So even then I wish I was going to be doing this the entire game playthrough of Sonic 2 within Sonic and Tails altogether, but it's just that during the special stages with Sonic and Tails at the same time might be the most difficult part I find when it comes to doing 100% completion of Sonic 2, so that's the only thing I decided to do that, so. Sorry Tails fans out there, but not until when we actually get into, when we jump into Sonic 3 and Knuckles, and even especially Sonic the Hedgehog 4 Episode 2, so we must have to wait for a while though, unfortunately though, so anywho though. Oh wow, I managed to recently finished this level until almost way too fast. One annoying thing about Supersonic though, and this is especially noticeable in the original version of Sonic the Hedgehog 2 most likely, is that every time when I managed to find myself to actually finish the level already, specifically Act 1 levels, not Act 2, because although Act 2 does retain the same thing, but even then I'll explain more on that later. But anyway though, so yeah, if you haven't played the 2013 re-release version of Sonic the Hedgehog 2, that assumingly if you actually play through Mystic Cave Zone Act 2 most likely, that way you can actually enter this hidden zone, which is called Hidden Palace Zone. You know the pit of spikes, or even the spikes of spike pits that you can actually instantly fall off and die easily. Even though if you actually been using Supersonic formation on that particular sequence right here, they instantly fall off so easier, which is pretty more of a mind of its own predictable things. Even for if you actually just manage to wait for a couple of minutes or something like that, even for a couple of seconds, if you actually wait if your ring counts goes to 0. So yeah, that digress though. So yeah, and then in the original version of Sonic the Hedgehog 2, that it will actually just put some spikes, and then you have to wait for a couple of seconds or notice. So that's how it usually goes. Oh yeah, one more thing before we actually end things off, especially when we get to the next boss fight we're going to be hit onto, and that was the form of, although actually I might talk about the Supersonic problem I have with the original release of Sonic 2, but even then I'll do that in the next video. So here's the egg drill, or in this case egg drill if you will, and he's pathetically easy if you assume if you have Supersonic equipped. And even then though, you can actually hit him like 8 times. So it gets a little bit trickier now, because even then though, he actually sent these little projectiles from the above. So that's how it goes, hey. So anyways, let's go ahead and end things off here. So join us next time on Let's Play Sonic the Hedgehog 2. It's the fact that we actually moved on into the next zone in the game. So see you guys next time. Later, fellas.